All right, Chris, sing along, whichever role you want to play, Kenny or Dolly.
Well, since Kenny started, I'll go Dolly.
I may want to hang out for this here. Today's Double Shot Tuesday theme, greatest duets ever. This was a massive hit. Islands in the Stream, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton.
Nicely done. How deep is your country library?
Not as deep as a kiddie pool at a summer camp. Ankle deep, you know. Not that much. You know. Front part of the wave pool where you're just walking in. Yeah. Not that deep.
All right.
I don't dislike, but I don't go very deep in the library. You know,
Okay.
you can put a Kenny Chesney album on, and I'm fine. But I can't. But I can't name 40 songs by him.
What about Garth Brooks?
Again, you could put an album. Okay, but I could probably go 6-8 songs in, and then you might play us. Oh yeah, I've heard that, but
Okay.
How are you, Chris?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I'm great.
You're great.
Not really, but I'm okay. That was a tough loss.
It was.
It was. Tough loss. Up 14, and
it
then
happens.
It
happens. It's sports. What were we just talking about yesterday? We love the unpredictability of sports.
I said to Kelly, there is something. Great's not the right word, but the heartbreak of a sports fan is a great study because only one team gets to win the championship every year. And if you're a passionate fan for a team that you still love and it breaks your heart all the time, there's something sports beautiful about it. Okay. it's just, it's hard to explain because they will give you hope. They will give you excitement, and then they're going to break your heart and shove a knife in your heart and twist it around. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I probably will be Thursday night. Chris wants me to do a Zoom with him so we can watch the draft together.
We're doing it.
Not going to happen.
Why not?
I'm probably going to be at a ballpark in Salt Lake City at a practice in the press box watching the draft and the Knick game in whatever form, and I'm going to be emotionally all in because that's just what you do for your team.
Mark, what do you think? Giants are up at 5.
You can FaceTime me 1,000,000 times. I will not answer. I'm just telling you right now. You can text me all night, but if you FaceTime, I will, because I'm going to need that device to watch the game on it. Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, we got a busy Tuesday show today. Charles Davis going to join us.
Nice.
And give us some thoughts on the draft. Charles, of course, at CBS and NFL Network, and a draft analyst for NFL Network now. And then Charles is the #1 college football analyst for CBS now, the upcoming season. So we'll chat with him. Matt and Michelle by a little bit later for his weekly visit. We got a whole bunch of other things to get to. Magic play tomorrow night. Had NBA action last night. Watching hockey. I got a lot of things going on, but fired up. A lot of things happening. Let's do everybody's favorite segment first, though.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
So I wanted to find as many NFL draft theme jokes as possible. Yeah, I just had the one yesterday. So no more NFL theme.
They scared that team, huh? Really committed to it, huh? Whew.
But what is a Karate Kid's favorite drink?
I know this. I don't know, Chris. What is a Karate Kid's favorite
you don't know this.
drink?
It's
I don't even know what you said. Oh, water.
What?
Yeah, that wasn't my guess.
What was your guess?
That's all right. Wow.
What?
Okay. All right. Yeah, we got it. Today's Double Shot Tuesday theme. These are great duets. Billy Joel and the great Ray Charles. Wow. Woo. Man. NFL draft comes up in a couple of days. Always enjoy when we get a chance to talk to our next guest. One, he's one of the nicest human beings ever. Great at what he does. You'll find Charles Davis at CBS. You'll find him at NFL Network. He's the lead analyst for CBS College Football this fall. Thanks for coming back. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I love the bumper music.
How about that?
And,
Huh?
I mean, when you put Billy Joel, Ray Charles duet, I mean, not to mention, I don't know if you got to see the Billy Joel doc.
I did.
I think HBO.
It's
on
dark.
Max or
It's
whatever it
pretty
was.
deep and dark.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
have to tell you, deep and dark. I agree. Totally concur. Didn't quite see it going down that way, but I'm glad it did because that's truly a doc that exposed. Right? He made himself extremely vulnerable. He let us know what it was really all about that he
Yeah.
went through. Because, you know, in our minds, it's all, man, look at that. Sold out
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden again. Life's good. Hot girls digging him. I mean, you know, look, let's be honest about it. What's the old joke? If Billy Joel couldn't sing, is Christy Brinkley taking another look at him? The answer is no. So, you know, it all worked out for him, right? But even that part didn't work out,
No.
right? Even the fairy tale didn't work out.
Yeah.
But he's still standing, and I give him credit. I love the doc, and I became much more of a fan. I'll be honest about it.
Yeah, he showed you the raw side of life. Let's pivot here. Let's stay in New York if we all assume
Okay.
Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick. The Jets are interesting, and I'm curious your thoughts. It appears as if it maybe isn't an Arvell Reese, maybe it's Reese or David Bailey.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on who they should take and who you think they will take, as the Jets have been interesting without a doubt the last year plus.
Yeah, I think I take Arvell Reese, but I think the Jets are going to take David Bailey. So, you know, we're flipping a coin here.
Mhm.
The Jets are really in a must improve in a big way now category. I don't put them in a must win category because winning is, you're asking a lot. It's a bad franchise. It's a bad roster. I had them week 18 in Buffalo. It was abysmal.
Mm.
I think, and I'm trying not to exaggerate here, on their defense, guys that played in that game, I remember in our meeting the night before, I had counted 5 guys that we had seen on other rosters within the last 5 weeks that were going to play on Sunday for the Jets. So they need work everywhere you go. Reese I like because of the upside, but Bailey is the more polished guy right now. And I feel like that's where they're going to lean and go. I don't put any stock in. They canceled the visit. They take in Bailey. They've seen Bailey for months now. They got that down. But I do think that they take him there. And that's why, to me, the real intrigue is after the Jets decide which pass rusher they take, what do the Cardinals do at 3?
My next
I'm pretty
question.
sure-
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they want to get out. Like they want to drop down. Does anyone have someone there? And that's where the prime players are, that people say, I have to have that guy. I'm willing to make a deal, whether it's Reese or Bailey, whether it's Jeremiah Love, whether it's Sonny Style. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So, but after we get through those guys, Mark, I don't know that we're going to have a ton of deals where people are going to make big moves to try and get a player. It's not that kind of draft. It's not a superstar loaded draft. It's a draft of very good players.
I'm curious your thoughts on Jeremiah Love, the way running backs have been treated in the NFL. We're okay by committee. Then we get a guy that we think is kind of special. So you've seen both ends of this. Your thoughts, one, is he that special? And two, it is interesting what happens at 3, 4, and if he's there for the Giants at 5. So what's your thoughts on Love as a running back prospect on a position that we treat differently than others, and what might happen with him?
Yeah, look, we know each draft isn't the same, right? So apples to apples. If Ashton Genty went 6 last year to the Raiders, Love's a better prospect in my mind. He should go higher. We're talking Saquon Barkley at 2 territory. That's how good I think he is. I think he's the best player in the entire draft. But running backs, you know, it gets dicey, right? Because for every hit we get, Saquon Barkley would count as a hit, but it didn't elevate the Giants, right? His hit was really with Philadelphia. Todd Gurley was a hit for a while. And then even in the Rams' run to the Super Bowl, he had already hurt his knee, and we'd seen the best of him. We just didn't know it. He was almost a non-factor through the playoff run. But he had been a hit prior to that. We can go on all day. All I know is the runner's still valuable. The MVP of the Super Bowl this past year was a runner, Kenneth Walker. I think Love is too good of a player to pass up. He gives me Christian McCaffrey vibes. And I really think that if the Cardinals aren't in deep discussion at keeping him at staying at 3 and taking him, then they're not doing their jobs well. And I think if I were them, I'd make sure I was open for business, because if anyone wants him, you've got to get up there and consider yourself, I've got to get past Tennessee, get ahead of Tennessee at 4. Because I think that's where the bidding probably starts. Tennessee 4. And if he doesn't go there, Giants with 2 picks now, I think they hop on him at 5.
It's interesting, and that's my next question. What do you think of what the Giants did with Dexter Lawrence, and why Cincinnati did that? And then the Giants with, Harbaugh coming in, now picks at 5 and 10. You need to hit them. You got to get 2 guys who are going to start for you. So thoughts first in the trade, and then what the Giants do now at 5 and 10.
Yeah, I don't think the Giants were really fixed on making that kind of a move. Lawrence kind of forced their hand when he continued to be disgruntled about his contract. And he didn't play well last year, Mark. Like, the Dexter Lawrence of 2 years ago was a beast, right? He's a monster. Last year, out of shape, late to camp, wasn't ready to go, didn't play as well. Hurt his cause because he wanted that contract. When they offer you a first-round pick and it's 10 and you're in a new spot with a new coach and we're starting over, you're listening to that. And I think frankly, the Giants were surprised. Like, really? Okay, we have to do this. Okay. Now, Bengals perspective, they need defense. You know that. They're wasting Joe Burrow. They believe they'll get the best of Dexter Lawrence. He already got a new contract out of it. I bet he'll be in shape. He'll be ready to go. What it also tells us, Mark, is the defensive tackles in this draft considered a good group, but not considered a pass rushing interior pressure group. That's why you take Dexter Lawrence and give up a first round pick, because you know you're not getting that in this year's draft, and the Bengals desperately needed it. I love what the Giants did, though. Now, what do they do at 5? You take care of Jackson Dart with a offensive lineman, Francis Maui-Noah from Miami, perhaps. Do you really get bold and go Jordan Tyson at wide receiver at 5? I think you wait on Tyson and try and get him at 10. And then, of course, the wild card is, what do you think of Caleb Downs, the safety at Ohio State? Because all 3 of those players fit exactly what John Harbaugh likes. It's just a matter of which 2 you're able to grab.
I think we're required to ask a quarterback question, so let me ask this.
Sure.
Fernando Mendoza is a great story. He had a great college season. He deserved the Heisman Trophy. Is he an overwhelming choice at number 1 because of the team that's picking 1? I don't know where you might put him when we look at the quarterbacks the last couple of years, and then I'll follow that up with Ty Simpson, who's intriguing on so many levels. I've seen people say he won't be drafted in the first round. Others have said teams will trade up and make some silly deal to get into the teams to get him. So I'll let you tackle those 2 quarterbacks.
Mendoza, I think, is an excellent player, excellent prospect. The toughness factor, Mark, is what I just keep coming back to. You saw him down the stretch. That's when he took in the chops from Caden Curry on the first play of the Big Ten championship game, where he just dropped like a bag of dirt. He missed one play. One play. The shot he took against Miami in the national championship game, I think it's the first quarter, that everybody, hey, that's a dirty shot, ball, whatever. Didn't miss any time. He throws interception, pick 6 in a big game at Oregon, comes back the next drive, throws a big-time play, touchdown. This kid's got those types of plays. In this draft, he deserves to be where he is. If it were another draft, he'd probably go behind some people. Pick your draft. But as I keep telling everyone all the time, that's not Fernando Mendoza's problem. He's right. 2026 draft. You guys can put me where you want to in any other speculative draft. Does not matter. And I think it's the right choice for the Raiders. He's the right type of kid. He's wired the right way. His press conferences are a little too Kirk Cousins-ish. But if that's the worst thing you're going to say about him, right. If that's the worst thing you're going to say about him, then you're okay.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you have to play him, or can you let him sit for a period, which is why they made a move to bring in a veteran? And I know that we hype that he's got to play, but would the Raiders be wrong if you said, look, he doesn't have to start day 1, and I don't know when he'll start, but it's not going to be day 1?
Yeah, they can say he doesn't have to start day 1, but when you draft a guy number 1 overall, he's going to play day 1.
Okay.
But that's just where we are, Mark. Okay. It's the rare time that we have it. John Spytek, Tom Brady, their job, get some people who can actually block. Right. The guys they had last year could not block. And then Ty Simpson, let's just go ahead and hit that very quickly. He's a second-round quarterback, in my estimation. I know that sounds like hater, right? It's not. He's got 15 starts in college. He tailed off at the end of last year. He just figured it out, and he and his group, I think, played the long game. And you know what the long game was? Dante Moore from Oregon went back to school. Trinidad Chambliss won his case and went back to Ole Miss. He looked around the landscape and realized he and his group, Mark, we're the ones standing. Because Beck's not a challenger to that spot. Drew Aller's not a challenger to that spot. Garrett Nussmeier's not a challenger to that spot. Cade Klubnik, he's either someone's gonna make a move and grab him in the first round for that 50-year deal, or he's gonna go in the second round where he needs to go. And I'm targeting 34 with Arizona. And I think it'd be best for him if he went in the second round because, Mark, back to first-round quarterback.
Right.
You draft one in the first round, your owner is going to at some point walk into the coach's office and go, so, what's the deal with our quarterback? It's almost impossible to not play them. The ones that didn't play, we can roll it right out, can't we? Mahomes didn't play his rookie year. Carson Palmer didn't play his rookie year. I'm like, okay, who else?
Right. Yeah.
Not many.
10 o'clock hour, WY, Jim Orlando, WJR, HD2, Cocoa Beats, Charles Davis of CBS, NFL Network, and set for the draft coverage. It's with us. Let's get out of the top picks. Ask you, the Dolphins have 7 picks in the top 100. It is a massive overhaul of a roster, a rebuild. What they did, they chose to sign Malik Willis. What's your thoughts on what Miami needs to do, whether that means you got to draft some guys because you got to draft some people and maybe even move some picks because you're taking a lot of guys on a roster that's salary cap stuck here. So what's your thoughts on Miami's new leadership and what a game plan might be this weekend?
Like what I'm seeing so far, John Eric Sullivan, this is his first time as a GM, but he's trained awfully well in Green Bay. And Green Bay quietly does a great job year in and year out, don't they, Mark? I mean, when you think about it, when we go from Ron Wolf to Ted Thompson to Brian Gutekunst, they've hit the buttons pretty well. They're always contending. They're always involved. They make really nice moves. He's trained well. Hafley, the new head coach, Jeff Hafley, defensive-minded guy, came from Green Bay before the head coach at Boston College. Doesn't automatically mean they lean defense, but that might be some tiebreakers in there. You know what I mean? This is a roster that for the Dolphins, though, as you said, needs a complete overhaul, needs players at every position. Can you get a big-time receiver at 11? Perhaps. Can you get a big-time corner at 11? Yes. You know, they can go in so many different directions. I don't think any of them are wrong, but I really liked where they started with getting rid of Tyreek Hill. It's not worth it. And people keep trying to make it worth it. Just remember this, everyone who's a big fan of his. Kansas City won 2 Super Bowls after they got rid of him and went to a third, by the way.
I'm curious, in talking with NFL teams during a season week to week, and in your observation, whether it's year 3 or 4 in a true portal world where guys are moving, not everybody, what does the NFL think about it? Do they think it's hindered development? Has it helped development of guys? What's your thoughts on what NFL people think about what has evolved of this free agency world in college football?
Overwhelmingly, I've heard good. Because you're getting a more mature player, you're getting a player a little more developed. They're not crazy about the guys who have gotten 7 years in college, 8 years in college. But as a general rule, if you're 7 or 8 years in college, you're probably not an NFL prospect. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But I did hear Eric DeCosta, the GM of the Ravens, say, I'm a little worried about how old these guys are coming out. Because, we've had the COVID kids, right? We've had the leniency in medical red shirts. We've had the open transfer. We've had the junior college. If you're in junior college, now you get the extra year. So we're getting older kids. I think that will come back down a little bit. But all in all, the idea that they stay in and play an extra year, I think overall it's better. And it comes into the Ty Simpson question, right? You're going to hear that all during the weekend, no matter where he goes. 15 starts. Go back and look at whatever year you want to pick. College quarterbacks with less than 20 starts and look at their hit rate. You know the number one guy is over the last 20 years? It's been Cam Newton.
Right.
He's been the top quarterback. But he changed the way we played. He's an unbelievable specimen. To me, he's a Hall of Famer because he changed the way we play the position of quarterback. But the rest of these guys that we're talking about, the hit rate's really, really poor. So you want to do this, Ty Simpson, more power to you. And I understand why, because you might very well be a first rounder. But as far as your continued development, which you have going forward, the numbers say, Mark, that he should have taken another year, been a starter for a year, and then come into the league and may have had better success. But here's the other part. 2027 is rumored to be what? A huge quarterback year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So get back into that pool. I don't know. Look, I don't blame the kid one way. I wish he had stayed in school just because I think it helped him as a player. But as my father taught me a long time ago, you don't mess with people's money and you don't do domestic. That's their decision to make.
I have two silly questions before I let the great Charles Davis go. What is, and you can share inside secret stuff about coverage of a draft. What is the moments that drive you crazy of draft coverage? Is it when we question the difference of 4.65 and 4.71? Is it arm length? Is it hand size? What is the part of the draft that you go, are we really doing this?
I've got it's a great one, isn't it? It's all the above, Mark. You remember when remember we were waiting for Joe Burrow's hand size? And you remember he tweeted out, "Oh, good, I made the minimum hand size. Now I don't. Now maybe I can try to play pro football." Yuck, yuck, right? Reuben Bain's arms would be debated ad nauseum, and all we did was watch him run over people in college. But these things do show up on a higher level, right? It does happen sometimes where there's a reason we haven't had a guy with arms as short as Reuben Bain get 10 sacks or more since 1987.
Mm-hmm.
These things happen. So some of it is real. My biggest one right now is we've forgotten what fast is, because the guys have blown it away so big that unless you're running in the sub 4.4, you almost don't have our attention anymore. And 4.5 is still fast. Like if you're a receiver and you run 4.52 and you make the defensive back lean the wrong way and you catch the ball, his 4.35 is not catching your 4.52 running away from him. You're still fast. But we're acting like it's in. Because remember when Carnell Tate ran?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody almost collapsed. Oh my God, what is 4.54? It became official 4.52. But everyone else is running 4.35.
Yeah.
You're like, where did that come from?
Right.
Folks, 4.5 is still fast. We've lost track of what really is fast, what works on the field. Good player at 4.5 is fine. And everybody's just losing it. And Tate might still be the first receiver off the board.
My last question, I promise it's nothing to do with football, but I guarantee it's going to make you laugh. And it's a question because you know this person, or at least the character. Within two, how many total episodes was Chuck Cunningham on Happy Days?
Oh.
The Lost Son. Don't forget now.
Which Chuck?
That's correct. Very good. Two different actors played Chuck Cunningham, which is supposed to be Richie Cunningham's older brother, and he just disappeared, and they stopped his existence.
Season 1.
Yeah.
Right? Was it season 1? Season 2?
Well, it bled from season 1 to season 2. Within 2, how many total episodes did Chuck Cunningham appear in Happy Days?
4.
Actually, it was 11.
You're kidding.
No, it's 11. And again, Charles will know. They just pretended he didn't exist anymore. Which
my favorite Chuck Cunningham episode was?
Which one?
Howie was sitting in his easy chair reading the evening paper.
Yep.
Remember the old evening papers?
Sure. Yeah.
Just like Ward Cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck comes downstairs. Remember, Chuck was a hooper.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
He was a basketball player at State U. And Chuck comes downstairs and he stands in front of Howie. Howie's got the paper in front of his face. And Chuck just takes the basketball and bounces it a couple of times. Howie says, "Yes, Chuck." Never even lowers the paper. Bounces the ball again. "Yes, Chuck, you can take the car." Bounce the ball a couple more times, he leaves. That was the communication. The other was when Richie moved in with Chuck when he got mad at his parents.
Oh, I remember that.
Those
yes.
rules were restrictive, and he moved in with him over at the dorm at school with the basketball players.
Gavin O'Hurley played him for 9 episodes. Randolph Roberts had 2 episodes, and that was it for him. And the family just pretended that Chuck never existed after that.
It never came up again. Never even was discussed. It was like he never happened. One of those 2 moved to Ireland and became like a playwright.
I think it was Gavin O'Hurley. He went and had success.
Who comes from a family of actors, I believe. I believe his dad was a big time actor. If you go back and check it out, John O'Hara, because someone was talking about that being on it. It's like I did episodes with his father.
I guarantee you, nobody this weekend, Charles Davis, will bring up Happy Days and Chuck Cunningham. So I leave you with that a bit of joy.
Wait till
Yes.
I tell everybody the number was 11 because I was off. Thank you, sir.
Listen, I was wrong too when I looked at it. Hey, thanks so much for doing this. I know you're busy and traveling. I always appreciate the time.
Always appreciate it with you. Thank you so much, and I'll be in touch later today.
Thank you, Charles Davis, with some good insight in the NFL draft right there.
Oh, I like that. I'll be in touch later today.
Hey, a little stuff, but No, Charles and I always talk. I mean, he's as prepared as, and he just wants to talk a bit more about Malachi Lawrence and potentially Nigel Lee Kilda getting drafted. So I just get some insight there. But he's off to Pittsburgh right now to get set for the
He's
draft.
such a nice guy.
One of the nicest human beings ever. Just a great, great guy. Matt and Michelle, about 25 minutes. We come back. I got several things for Chris, including, I think, at least two of the stuff that'll drive him crazy. We'll do that. A double shot Tuesday today. Greatest duet songs. 50857. The Beat of Sports continues. Oh, wow. Ozzy, Lita Ford.
Nice.
Yeah, today we're doing great duets.
You got the song?
Um, uh, Close My Eyes Forever.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why do you just feel like the studio was really dark when they recorded this? Like a purple light and smoke somewhere.
Wouldn't that be any Ozzy Osbourne song?
Right.
Recorded.
50857 on the text line for Double Shot Tuesday. Great duets. You can listen to this show on FM 96.9 AM 740, the iHeart app, and listen anywhere. You can listen in podcast form by going where you get your favorite podcast type of the BS Sports on Demand. You can watch this show on a stream. Get there via Twitter, 96 on Game On, or our YouTube page, 96 The Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button, and you can watch us there. Did you bring in your big league shoe?
God damn it. I had it on the counter. I'm failing.
Well, okay.
Boy.
Yeah, so much for that thought.
I could do the Sprite challenge.
Huh?
I could do the Sprite challenge.
No.
Don't be mad. Oh, boy.
Can I just play a few things for you?
Yes.
All right. First, this is by request again.
Introducing the Loser-Max playset, the only stadium where heartbreak is guaranteed. Crank the Loser-Matic scoreboard. Open the bullpen door and watch the lead disappear. Trigger meltdown mode, press the heartbreak button, and make Moby the mascot side.
Moby the mascot.
All right, stop.
No, you don't have to.
I want to play something that I bet you're going to get upset about.
Oh, God. Why?
This is 49er General Manager John Lynch, a pre-draft press conference, has asked this a question.
In terms of using AI to get into players, and whether that's background checks or projecting on what they can do and how the draft would unfold.
Yeah, a lot. I think just like the rest of the world, I think if you aren't using it, you're already behind. And the cool thing is, what we found, you don't need to be an expert. Just like you at home planning a travel itinerary, you can just ask the thing and it can spit out some pretty good things, some pretty good ideas. Our developers, I think we're fortunate to be where we are, kind of at the epicenter of the innovation there, and we've tried to take advantage of that. I do think every team is probably using it in some form or fashion. I think that will only increase as we move forward.
You don't need to use AI for everything.
He didn't say everything. He just said it's a tool that they use. He didn't say that they fired all their scouts and don't do, traditional scouting. You're just telling you to take advantage of the technology that's out there. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about what you see with your eyes.
There is.
And trusting your scouts.
It's also an ability of taking 500 draft prospects and maybe speeding up the process for some of those players that you don't want to spend a lot of time on. Yeah.
Then you're not doing your job.
I knew this would tick Chris off.
You're not doing your job. You just want to blow by everything? AI will do it. Oh, was AI said? Don't like it? All right. On to the next. How asinine is that?
He didn't tell you that they've abandoned all traditional means of scouting.
My God, we're too reliant. Too reliant.
You would be stunned to know the extent of analytics used. Ty Simpson is going to be the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft. By the way, and Charles Davis said he thinks he's a second-round pick, which, by the way, doesn't mean you're a bad player. I don't know anymore if he's going to go in the first round or not. Somebody may do something and take him at 16 or I have no idea. So he was on David Pollock's podcast, okay, See Ball, Get Ball. And Pollock asked him a question about, forget calling it NIL. He asked him a question about the money he was offered by teams to come play. Let's grow up here, NIL money. He was offered money. And Simpson gives an answer.
And I'll never forget, man.
hold on. Go ahead.
ticked me off so bad when I went to combines, and I'm not lying. I'm stupid for doing this, but that's why I'm a defensive player.
Maybe we went back into this.
Instead of stretching my arm,
hang on. Here.
Go through everything that I went through.
So you mentioned all those guys, man, and we were hearing all these different crazy things about you, about possibly going to the draft, taking that next step. And then all of a sudden, hey, an NIL deal comes in, So it sounds like you're the type of guy, man, you were like, bro, no, I can't do this. I can't go to the other sideline. But, Ty, there's got to be at some point when you start looking at all those zeros and you go, I mean, at some point, it had to be some part of you that goes, man, like, was there a number that you finally went, okay, dude, I really want to be a Bama player forever, but was there ever a number that kind of, that's a big number?
I mean, yeah, I think the last offer, was definitely one that I just had to sit down and consider, because it would have been, life-changing money. It would have made me the highest, paid player in college. And it was something to where I was like, all right, like I can't just ignore this. Like I have to sit down and think about it. And that's kind of, how I am. I have to, I don't want to do anything sporadic. I want to sit down and, think it all out. And it really just came down to, how I wanted to be remembered. And, what do I want to do? And I actually talked to, coach about this, Coach Saban. And, the things that, he was talking about were, all right, do you want to play football in college, or do you want to play football professionally? And he was like, take the money out of it, take the rounds out of it. What do you want to do next year? And without a doubt, without hesitation, I said, I want to play professional football. And he was like, well, there's your answer. It was something to where I've always dreamed of it. And, I felt that I was ready to take that next step and be the face of a franchise and lead a locker room.
That offer was $6.5 million from Miami.
Do you think the Hurricanes wanted that out there? That number?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think some of these, particularly in college basketball, which I will stand by, is 10 times worse than college football as far as lying of the number. Some of the numbers that people are reporting in college basketball are complete flat out lies that schools and agents wanted out there. But do I think Miami offered him $6.5 million? Yes. I trust the source having that yeah. And they gave it to Derry Mensah. Okay. And take this however you want. And Miami, by whatever rules we have, did nothing wrong. Okay. They made the decision internally at Miami where you're now able to get dollars because the feeling is that the brand is back. And for 2 decades, we did is the U back. And now even though Indiana won the national championship, nobody could argue Miami is a hot brand right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do what they did this year, and however you think they got into the playoff, which came down to that final week, they got in and they went to the championship game. And they've got buzz. They got that thing. They got transfers. They got a team that is loaded this year. Again, I mean, a wide receiver room that's better than it was last year, with Malachi Toney leading the pack there. And they knew and have chosen to be in this world in college football of right now we're fine by buying what we think is the best quarterback, and we'll live in the one-year quarterback, and we'll surround that quarterback with the riches that'll make somebody go, I'm going to go there. And Ty Simpson wasn't the first choice for Miami. They went down the path with Sam Levitt, kicked the tires on Sorsby, who went to Arizona State, and then Simpson made the decision, okay, I think I'm going to go to the draft, and Miami said, we have to blow everybody out of the waters by how much we're willing to pay. And $6.5 million. And you're thinking, yeah, but, playing the NFL. By the way, notice he said he spoke to Coach Saban, not DeBoer. Says, where do you want to play? Listen, it still was $6.5 million to play a 12-game schedule on a team that is going to be loaded to help you have a great season. Now, what Charles brought up is, hey, I'm looking at a 27 draft that's kind of loaded with talent, Maybe it's the right move, but I don't believe a lot of numbers in college football and basketball. I do believe that one. And you could say his heart was, if I'm going to play college football, it's going to be at Alabama, which, by the way, I don't know this, and in reading all the stuff that was out there at the time, Bama certainly wanted him back, but they were never going to pay that money. Never going to pay them. And by the way, they may have been right, meaning, look, he was good, but, and Miami may have been like, he'll be great for us. And maybe Mentz is going to be great for us.
I'm sure there's more to the answer that Nick Saban gave Ty Simpson in terms of just laying out the way he did. Do you want to play college or do you want to play pro? Well, can I say I appreciate that answer? Like, giving someone a bigger picture view of what you want with your life instead of chasing a dollar.
Yeah, but I think without knowing the details, if Ty Simpson was a projected 4th-round pick, maybe Nick's answer is different. What is it you want to do? And before you answer that, you're projected 4th, 5th-round pick. This is different. You can improve your draft stock by playing on this team with a high chance of being successful and make life-changing money. The projection appears to be at worst a 2nd-round pick, where the $6.5 million from Miami's heck of an offer, he'll make that even with 2nd-round money.
Yeah. And again, every situation is different, but I wish there would be more people to kind of lay it out like that. Like, what do you want to do instead of, oh, well, you can make some money here. Is that really going to help you?
I think there are a lot of people that are out there. There are very few that has the resume of Nick Saban when he speaks. And but I think most coaches are selfish and greedy,
of course.
But I also think that the very good coaches are also genuine, and I would think honest most of the time.
You would hope.
And I believe that. I think there are some jerks, but I think there are some that do have the best interests of players, by the way, that they believe are loyal to them. Remember, it's okay for the coach to keep the player for 3 years and he can bounce, but it's not, the other way. And we'll never know. And Miami may have a great season with Darian Mentz at quarterback, and Ty Simpson may be a starter by the middle part of the NFL season. So I don't know, but I do believe that number. I don't believe 95% of the college basketball numbers, but I do believe that number. But think of how it happened, though. Miami is as high as they could be. They didn't win the championship, but as high as they can be, and life is good at Miami, and there's money pouring in to go buy players. Because why? Because you don't want to take a step backwards, so make an insane offer. I mean, you got to stop and think for a second. If you're Simpson, you're like, it is $6.5 million. It's a lot of money.
But as you said, he would make that as a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, again, it's probably, even if it's a 3rd or 4th or 5th-round pick, it's probably a much more difficult decision. But I think at worst, he's an early 2nd-round pick. And from that standpoint, the dollars are better.
I'm all for going back to college if you want to try and improve your draft stock. But the ultimate goal should be the NFL. Or if you have another career in mind, you just like playing college football, play your 4 years and go do your thing.
Okay, but can I ask you though, and I know your strong position on this. Mm-hmm. You're not saying that there's something wrong if a player chooses to find more money every year they play college football. Before you answer that, at least acknowledge that there are different causes and different reasons. I'm going to give you, again, a guy that I root for to be drafted high. Okay. I know Lee Hunter's background. I know what Lee came from. Okay. And getting to know him at UCF, and he left UCF with a smile on his face to go take, he enjoyed his time to take money. And then when I saw Lee last year and he told me, I was able to give my mom a home that she had never thought she'd ever have. I was able to provide for my child a birthday that I never dreamed she could have. You can't fault a player for doing that. Do you?
No.
Okay.
Again, I completely understand. I want them to have the guidance, and I want them to have the mindset of thinking long term. Everyone just thinks short term.
Well, I understand that. I think there are also players that realize the chance of playing in the NFL may not be very big, and therefore they still will find a place to make as much money. Now, you hope they get good advice and don't blow their money. And by the way, and I'm not telling behind-the-scenes secrets, when Lee Hunter came to UCF and told them what he was offered, He was told by the people at UCF, Lee, you need to take that because that's life-changing money. Do they want the football? Of course they want the football players. But it was also, we can't match that. You need to go and take that money. And he did. All right, Matt and Michelle's weekly visit is next.
and OS Matt Murchell.
All right, we talk Matt Murchell. We'll talk with Matt Murchell on these Tuesdays. Good morning, Matt. How are you? Matt, you there?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good. Happy draft week. Let me start there. Malachi Lawrence is projected by some to be a second round pick. Jay Duzabal on yesterday thought he might even slip into the first round. Your thoughts on what you watched of Malachi, what made him better, and if you had to project him for Thursday?
Yeah, I think you saw Malachi. I've written this several times. It's kind of a unicorn in the way college football is these days. He stayed at UCF for 4 years. And a guy who started out, was a true freshman and didn't get a lot of playing time and kind of evolved and grew into a role where he's become, one of the better Big 12 pass rushers last year. And I think his growth has been the thing that's been the most exciting to watch. I mean, you saw what he did last year. And then even taking that from the off season, going into the NFL Combine, where he put on a show with the way he performed and running the 40 and some of the other drills. I think he's really put himself in a great spot. And I think you're right. He's a guy that could find his way into the first round, maybe first round pick. I think the first 2 rounds are going to be really heavy with defensive end pass rushers, edge pass rushers. So I think he's got a good opportunity to get in there. I think it's huge for this program. Anytime they can get a player drafted, UCF can get a player drafted in the first couple rounds, I think it just says a lot about what's going on. We talked to Scott Frost the other day, and he said, he's so proud about the idea that he was only here a year with Malachi, but to see him take that step and the growth and to be able to put himself in a position where he could possibly be selected that high, it just says a lot about him as a player and as a person to be able to go and handle those kind of situations and put himself in a position for success. And I think it's going to be interesting to see where he lands and where some of the other UCF players maybe find their way into the draft.
Nigel Kelly is a guy that also could go later in the draft. And, I always wondered if Nigel had stayed healthy, I think, he would have emerged as a guy that maybe could have played his way into the third or fourth round. I think he got a shot to get drafted late, but had he been healthy, I think he would have been a mid-round guy.
Oh, for sure. Scott told us a great story. He said when he got here last year, Nigel was one of the guys that in spring ball and fall camp would be a terror, to their offense. A guy who was unstoppable, who would come in and be disruptive. And he really felt like, this was a guy that was going to be probably one of the better pass rushers, in the Big 12. And he was a little banged up and limited and everything like that. And he still feels, Frost still thinks he's a little undervalued going in, but he's a guy that they hope maybe can work his way up a little bit, maybe end up being a 6th round or a 5th round pick. But I think he put on a decent show at Pro Day, and it's just going to kind of fall into where some teams feel like they can get him and how they feel like they can use him and how they maybe can develop a little bit more to get on that potential.
Spring practice continues at UCF, and Matt's out, obviously covering the team. You did a feature piece, which I thought was really good, and I encourage people to read. David Overstreet II is on UCF staff, and for those that think of the name, that is his dad, David Overstreet. Share what you took out of your conversation and piece with David.
Yeah, Dave was a really, really interesting guy. We talked a lot about just kind of his passion for football, and here's a guy that, when he grew up and he really never got a chance to, grow up with his father. David, unfortunately, his dad passed away early on. I think it was maybe a little over a year old when he passed away in a car accident, tragically. And, David still kind of kept those football roots, and he talked a little bit about this little green football that he was given, by his dad and when he was a baby, and how he would go everywhere with that football. And every time someone would take it away, he'd start crying. And, he shared this wonderful story, and I got to put the picture in with the story about, how they tried to take a family portrait with his mom and his sister, and they took the football away and he cried, and they gave it back to him and he smiled. And so it really kind of emphasized his passion for football. And it went to high school and then to college, and then he stepped away from football. He wasn't able to pursue an NFL career as a player, and, was in marketing for a while, and then decided he really didn't like that. He wanted to get back into football and kind of went back into coaching and went in the NFL route, where he was an assistant, on several NFL teams with the Colts and the Bears. And he kind of grew from there. And now he's back at a college level, and he's trying to, help the UCF, the UCF players in the secondary there as well. And it's an interesting, he's an interesting fit because he's a guy that has a lot of NFL experience. He's coached a lot of NFL names. And so the cornerbacks really kind of gravitate towards him. They really want the opportunity to kind of learn from him and be a sponge. And they say he's really great, full of energy, and a guy who they think will kind of help, build that room, which is already an experienced group. It's got a lot of returners, but they feel like they can help them take the next step to kind of fulfill their NFL dreams. So David's a very interesting guy, and a guy I think he's going to be a huge impact on the secondary for UCF.
Matt, last year the state passed a bill that allowed universities to basically give their athletic departments money, $22.5 million. Florida State took it quickly. They were the only school in the state to do it for a while. UCF's board voted last week to set up a fund, interesting the name given to it, with $22.5 million. But it's not straight cash, homie, to your players. It is kind of a different type of setup where the money can go towards creating new revenue streams. You can use some towards players, but thoughts on what UCF's board did and how that money will be used?
Yeah, it's interesting. UCF had kind of been once the Florida Board of Governors decided to pass that initiative. We talked to UCF the athletics director Terry Mahajer about it, and he said, it was a process. They wanted to sit down and kind of figure out how they were going to be able to use that money, because this is auxiliary funds. This comes from the university itself, and it's money that the university kind of transfers back to the athletic department, and they can use the strategic fund where they can decide how to maybe generate a little bit of revenue. And some of that can be, finding different ways to invest, finding ways to pay off some debt. Like you mentioned, they could do a little bit of it for NIL, but more than likely that's probably not going to be the case. It's probably going to be used more for, upgrading some facilities here or there. They really have to sit down and decide. They haven't come to that agreement just yet, what they're going to do with it. But the idea is this money allows them to have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more capital to use. It's only like a one-time thing. It's not something they can continue to use over and over again. So, UCF wants to take advantage of that. You mentioned Florida State. They jumped on it right away because obviously they have a lot of issues and they're trying to figure out financially, but UCF wants to take their time and figure out exactly how they're going to use it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see massive upgrades right away. It just means they're going to try to find ways to invest it, maybe make a little bit more money on it to be able to use to help benefit the athletic programs to grow. And it's important to have because you look around with how college athletics is going, money is a huge issue with everywhere you go. And I think it's something that schools want to be able to take advantage of. And the Florida Board of Governors is trying to help, these public universities have an opportunity maybe to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how this money is used by UCF and how much it can kind of grow and maybe help their future as they continue to navigate going through the Big 12.
I want to pivot, but Plav, what you just said, and you may have read the piece that Ira Chaffel wrote about Florida State's kind of getaway meeting and talked about their budget, which is going to approach $250 million. They are dealing with financial challenges. I was reading Pat Forty's piece on Louisville where they are in the red and will continue to invest money because they need to win. It is an interesting gamble that athletic departments and universities are willing to play right now with no guarantee, Matt. But, here are two somewhat legacy brands, and it's almost like we'll just keep spending. And they're not the only ones, but, man, it is risky when you read some of the stuff that they're willing to say, well, we just got to keep on spending because at some point it'll pay us back by winning. Wow.
Yeah, it's a big risk. I mean, I read both those pieces. It's a huge risk. Listen, they're agreeing to take on all sorts of debt, because they want to continue to build facilities and continue to upgrade themselves and continue to compete with, where they think they're going to be able to compete, moving, with the SEC and the Big Ten. And it's a challenge because if you get yourself way deep in a debt hole, it's hard to come out of. I mean, even if something were to happen, let's say in the ACC and some of these schools are able to leave and go to the SEC and the Big Ten, or there's a super conference or whatever the future holds. I mean, it's a gamble because that money you receive, then all of a sudden you're going to have to start paying that back as quickly as possible. And you're going to have to start paying down some of this debt. And it's going to be a challenge. So one of the reasons why I've always thought what UCF did with, the tourism tax development money, to help fund the renovation of the stadium, I thought it was a brilliant move. I mean, because it allows them to do their renovations and not find themselves so far in debt that, they're going to be paying on this for decades from now, and it helps them kind of generate money and build on that. And I think these other schools everyone's trying to figure out a way, what's the best way to do it. That's why you're seeing patches on jerseys and you're seeing all sorts of new deals to try to generate as much money as possible because they're trying to figure out how can we pay for NIL and rev share and all the other things that are going on. And you can only tap donors and boosters so much before eventually they get tired of it and say, there's only so much money we can give. And they get burnout. And that burnout is the reason why I think you're seeing Florida States and the Louisvilles and everyone really trying to generate as much money as they possibly can, whether it's taking debt or whatever, to try to find a way to be successful.
Oversight committee in the NCAA recommends that college football move the season up and that week 0 become week 1. I think that may be connected to whenever the playoff expands to 16, which maybe is in a year or two. Is this inevitable that that's happening?
Yeah, I think it was. I think we're on that path. We know the expansion is going to happen to the college football playoff. How many teams just remains to be seen, whether it's going to be 16 or 24. But we already know that this next year, the national championship game is going to be played deep into January, and college administrators don't like that. They'd like to get back to the part where these games are maybe moved up a little bit more. Back to the traditional New Year's Day thing, which I think has already sailed anyways. I don't think that's ever going to be back that way. But if you move the schedule up a little bit, you can kind of change some things around. I think it's also going to lead to eventually the end of conference championship games. They're already discussing that, whether do they need conference championship games. If they eliminate those, that frees up some time to maybe move some of those playoff games up, maybe move some of the bowl games up, and maybe to kind of bring the schedule back to where maybe it fits better. It doesn't clash with the NFL. That's something that's been a concern, is having playoff games and things on Thursdays and Friday nights, because you don't want to compete with the NFL, which is in the playoffs usually. So it's going to be a challenge. And I think it's just the first step of what the NCAA is trying to do to make this work.
Follow his work on X or Twitter at OS Matt Michelle, and also on OrlandoSentinel.com. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Good insight from Matt and Michelle, a whole bunch of things. And on the mark, off the mark segment coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. And the hour kicks off with the news next.
let's really do the news.
Yes. Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach. Billy Donovan steps down as the basketball coach of the Chicago Bulls. 6 seasons in Chicago, 1 playoff for Billy Donovan. The Bulls and owner Jerry Reinsdorf said that they offered Donovan to stay on as the coach. They fired the front office, and Billy Donovan said that the new front office should have the right to choose who they want to be the head coach. The Bulls probably made it a little bit more difficult for Donovan to want to stick around, but Billy Donovan does step down. Donovan, in his statement, did not say yay or nay about continuing to coach. It'll be interesting to see what interest there might be in Billy Donovan, and I wonder what North Carolina thinks today, but they are now with Mike Malone. Not that that's a bad choice, to be determined there. NBA playoffs last night. On the action, the Knicks blew a 14-point fourth quarter lead and fell last night to 14-point second half lead and lost 107-106. The Knicks had a final shot, and Mikal Bridges missed, and Atlanta rallies, evens a series at 1. 2-0 series advantage for Cavaliers, beat the Raptors 115-105. Donovan Mitchell went for 30. And down 19, the Timberwolves roared back to beat the Nuggets 119-114. 30-10 for Anthony Edwards, as that series is even at 1. NBA playoffs tonight. Sixers and Celtics play game 2 in Boston. Boston leads at 1-0. Spurs host the Blazers up 1-0, and the Rockets up 1-0. Or rather, the Lakers up 1-0 will take on the Rockets. Game time decision apparently for Kevin Durant. To the National Football League, a little bit of broadcast news. Mike Tomlin is joining NBC to be part of their studio crew. He basically replaces Tony Dungy.
What do you think about this move?
I don't know how Mike Tomlin's going to be on TV.
He seems very well spoken.
No.
Looking guy.
He does. I just don't know. And I respect Tony Dungy, the football coach. I thought he was horrendous on television.
I agree with that.
Horrendous on television.
I cannot, and he's not the only one that does it, but the coach's clicker, when they will play like 2 seconds of film and then constantly rewind it and then play another 2 seconds.
But then I didn't think NBC helped by having him do those on-field interviews. That it was awkward. Like, let's do it again. Like, whose idea is this? Not working.
I mean, I get the lure of having like previous guys from the NFL.
Yeah.
Like Rodney Harrison,
maybe
Jason Garrett,
maybe
Tony Dungy, but
maybe Tom will be good.
Sometimes you don't need those kind of guys.
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe Tomlin's people said, look, out of sight, out of mind, so why don't you get on television for a year and stay top of mind so that next year in the coaching cycle, then there's a job there for you.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess. I like Mike Tomlin, the coach. I question what he's going to be like on television. After 56 years of hosting a PGA event in Hawaii, the PGA Tour will not send a tournament back to Hawaii, part of the shakeup in the PGA schedule. All right, real quickly, over under total offensive players in the draft 16, which means defense is 16.
Mm-hmm. In the first round?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say under.
Under? Okay.
I'm going to say under.
Offensive lineman over under is 8. Wide receivers in the first round, 6. 6. Big number.
What do you think?
I think I'd go over there.
You think over on the offensive guys?
Oh, 16?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. I started counting up, and I thought it looks like 16. Here, over under draft position, Caleb Downs, 9.5.
I need it to be under, but I think he goes.
Carnell Tate, 7.5.
Washington's at 7. No, the Saints are at 7.
Jordan Tyson, 8.5.
I think he falls to 10.
Jeremiah Love, 4.5.
I think he goes 4.
Ruben Bain, 9.5. Sonny Styles, 5.5.
I need Sonny Styles to fall.
The Ty Simpson over under today's 29.5.
It depends on.
It's a good number. It's a good number.
And I'll get to this on the mark, off the mark. Ty Simpson to Arizona it seems to fit.
Okay. All right. good number, 29.5. It is. They're good at this stuff. On the mark, off the mark, coming up about 11:35. More of the Beat of Sports next. Hope he's got a line about not playing defense late in the fourth in here. Today's Double Shot Tuesday. Think great duos. Alicia Keys and Jay-Z. Empire State of Mind. Knicks lost last night, but yeah. Anyway, 50857, the text line for Double Shot Tuesday. This past weekend out in Arizona, maybe something about the Fiesta Bowl, but a UCF team won a national championship. Flag football for women. And the head coach of that team is kind to join us on the program today as Brandon Baruti is giving us some time. Brandon, welcome. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you, Mark?
I'm great. I want to start, if you let me, to go back with your background that leads up to what you're doing with this team now. If I'm correct, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. You're a student at UCF, and you're not a flag football expert by any means, and then you're asked to just, play a pickup game of memory mall, and then you just become a flag football guy. Am I correct in that?
You're correct. You did your research.
Well, tell me about that. You're just roaming on campus one day and see some guys playing football, and then how does that develop?
I played back home. We played some football down there in Miami, but on campus, guys are just, throwing the football around. They see us playing and they ask us to join the game. And then intramural sports at UCF, they had a sign that says, flag football signups. And when we saw that after playing pickup, all those guys got together and went out there and we fell in love with it after that.
All right, but you guys weren't just good. Like, you were really, really good that you became a Hall of Fame flag football player.
Yeah, our team name was the UCF Immortals. And yeah, we had a pretty good group. We had some guys that played some tackle football. Our quarterback, Drew Hill, he's also in the Hall of Fame. But we really connected, learning from other people that knew how to play. Mike Ruggieri, he played before us, and he actually got me in the flag. And learning from him and some other guys, we just were able to put it together.
So tell me how all this then leads you to coaching a women's team at UCF, because you guys won this championship this weekend, but this isn't new. You've competed on the national level with great success and have won titles. How did you get involved on the coaching side with this team?
Right. So I was also playing co-rec at the time when I was on the men's team, and the co-rec women had their own team on the women's side, and they started to ask me to assist them. So as I was playing, when I could, I would go coach them if we didn't have conflicts in our schedule. And like I said, I fell in love with it. So once I stopped playing, I just continued to coach and learn and grow and pick brains of others and watch other good teams. And all these tournaments that we've gone to with NERSA, we were able to win 4 in a row back in the 2010s. And then we captured a national championship earlier this year before UF got us a couple of times.
So tell me about when you first start coaching the team, to the quality of play, and that's not disrespecting those early, but just the growth of flag football, and particularly for women, is incredible in the last decade. How have you watched that growth over the year and the quality of player?
Yeah, so like when my old players who won nationals in the 2010s watch now, they see a lot different game, because we were able to maybe run 15 to 25 plays and just kind of keep those on repeat. We could run one coverage, we can run a cover 3, cover 2, keep it simple, maybe change up the rush a little bit. But now there's so many more concepts in it. You see a lot more like mesh concepts that come from tackle football. You see different coverages, rolling coverages, a lot more motion, a lot more double quarterbacks, kind of the quirks of flag football compared to tackle football. All of that has just got so far advanced now that you really have to put more reps in, more practice. You have to watch more film. Whereas maybe early in the 2000s, you can kind of just do your thing and just be really good at it and not have to change it up too much.
Give me background, because you're a club team. So how do you guys cover expenses? How do you recruit players? And what are those challenges year to year?
So UCF has like a club tier system where the higher you are on the tier system, you get a certain amount of budgeted money. But from there, we really have to fundraise, get some donations. So we do everything that we can outside of what the school gives us. So, we'll host tournaments to raise money. A lot of parents are very generous. We have alumni, Stephen Moffitt. He helps us out when he can. He's old UCF quarterback, so shout out to Stephen Moffitt. So yeah, we really have to go through all the avenues that we can to go and participate in these tournaments.
How do you find your players? And do most players come to you with flag experience? We certainly have more high schools that are playing flag now.
Yeah, with social media blowing up, like once we created a social media account back in around like 2021, like right after COVID or right during COVID is when we did it. We have so many players reaching out to us. They know our email address. There's actually a file out there that I think either Alonzo's coach Matt Hernandez or maybe Josh Saunders puts out to high school coaches so that students are aware of club programs that are out there, and they reach out to us and let us know that they're attending the school. Now we can't get anyone into the school; we don't have that yet. Hopefully, with NCAA looking to add flag football in, we can eventually offer some scholarships. But for now, we have real good word of mouth because we have a program that's kind of been around a while. People have seen us. We play college games at high school fields or high school tournaments as well. So they kind of recognize who we are, and they want to go to the UCFs and the UFs and the FAUs.
Tell me the Fiesta Bowl Flag Football Classic, 8 teams and perceived to be the best 8, and UCF, Florida is among them. How good was the quality? And then you guys won the championship beating Florida. Tell me about the game.
Oh, the quality was absolutely amazing. They mentioned early on in the calls when they were putting this together that they wanted to give it a full bowl field. They wanted the women to have the same treatment as the men get when they travel to tournaments. And we thought it was going to be amazing, and they blew it out of the water with the way they treated us. We got off the plane, they greeted us at the plane, at the airport. I mean, food was provided, hotel was amazing, the staff was so accommodating, the fields were great. The coverage was great. We had so much media out there. The Athletic was there. NFL was there interviewing our players, interviewing coaches. And then the teams were awesome. Obviously, we ended up playing Florida in the championship, which is always a good competitive game. And, like I said, we lost to them back in January, and we really wanted to get our get back per se. So losing that game in January really had us locked back in and focus and understand that we had to work a little bit harder because they were working more than we were.
Brandon, what's the next stage? You mentioned the NCAA has looked at, and there are some major D1 and P4 programs that are committing to flag football. Where is that at, and where's UCF in this?
Yeah, like Nebraska announced, Alabama State was the first one to announce a year or two ago. The Big 12 recently, there's an article saying the Big 12 is going to add at least 6 teams by, I believe, 2028. I may have that date wrong. We're hoping that UCF is one of those 6 teams. I haven't got any official or unofficial word on that yet, but hopefully, attending this Fiesta Bowl, winning the Fiesta Bowl, puts us even further on the map and pushes it forward so that we can really get going because these ladies, they're ready to play. The game has been here for a while. It hasn't gotten the recognition, but the last 4 years, it's just kind of skyrocketed. And we hope we can continue on that wave and catch the momentum with UCF and other D1 programs becoming official varsity NCAA schools.
Just the additional background. You have a job. This is not your job full time, right?
Yeah, I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant. I'm in my car right now in the parking lot on my lunch break, taking this call. I have not gotten paid for this. I probably could have taken a high school job here or there, but I really love the school. I really love the ladies that I've been around. I'm dedicated to them, and I just really love it. So,
last question: how much does it help with the attention, not just on the men's side, but the 28 Olympics? How much is that helping the growth of the sport on the women's side?
Yeah, I think that helped everyone recognize the sport and kind of gained a lot of curiosity. There were even some people at the Fiesta Bowl this weekend who were there watching, and they had a lot of questions. I had friends messaging me who probably have never watched flag football before. They watched it, and they're sending me, "Hey, can I ask you about this rule and about that rule?" So the Olympics having flag football has been huge. Hoosh, shout out to Hoosh. He's held it down on the men's side, beating Joe Burrow and those guys. But yeah, the Olympics has been amazing.
I know your answer to this, and I'm in this group. The NFL players deserve to be ambassadors, but if Hoosh and those guys don't represent us in 28, that would be sad. Those guys should be the Olympic team in 28. You agree, right?
Oh, Hoosh and those guys deserve the opportunity.
Yeah.
I think they proved it on the field. They've been around. I don't think everyone understands how dedicated these guys are playing. They play during the week in local leagues. They travel to tournaments almost every weekend. I would say they probably play flag football tournaments more weekends than they have weekends off.
Yeah.
I used to compete against Who, so I know what those NFL guys were going through. I had to chase them around. But yeah, those guys deserve their shot at it. It wouldn't be insane if, you know, an NFL player or two who dedicated time to learning the nuances of the flag game over the next 2 years ended up on the roster. But I think the majority of those guys at minimum on the flag, on Team USA right now, deserve to be the ones that are the ones playing on the field when we get to 2028 in LA.
Brandon Baruti's team at UCF, the women's flag football team, won the Fiesta Bowl Classic Championship, which many say will be the national championship of women's flag football in college. Hey, congrats. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
Good stuff, man. Got a regular job, man. Dude's working all the time. He's finding ways to do this stuff. It's awesome.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. And flag football Hall of Famer, man. Back on the mark, off the mark next.
It's a Tuesday staple on the beat of sports. On the mark, off the mark. Presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Bowegan's, recrafting perceptions.
All right, man. Let's kick things off here with your New York Giants.
What was that old man thing?
What?
What are you, like, tired or something?
Stretching, man.
Let's go. We're talking Giant football here?
We're talking Giants. Another reason for me to.
Even Chris is coming around.
Actually, you're gonna like
New
where this
sheriff in town.
You're gonna like where this is going. Actually,
Yeah.
Over the weekend, your New York Giants traded away Dexter Lawrence for the 10th overall pick in Thursday's NFL Draft. This now gives them 2 picks inside the top 10. There's an argument to be made that, especially after this trade, the Bengals are one of the worst run franchises in the NFL. Made that argument, or tried to, yesterday, but I'm not going that way. You're going to love this. Would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that of the teams to finish in last place last year, that being the Jets, Browns, Titans, Raiders, Giants, Lions, Saints, and Cardinals, the Giants, even just after the first round of their picks in Thursday's draft, they will have the best chance to go from worst to first this NFL season.
Duh. That's a bit of a stretch. You and I talked about Philadelphia and kind of where they're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys, despite their dysfunction, still have a lot of talent there. Now at Washington, we got to step back and kind of reevaluate what we thought 2 years ago based on last season for them. So I think the division is such that it's a little bit more muddy. I still think today the Eagles are better than the Giants. The Cowboys are probably better than Giants, and Washington maybe not that much better than the Giants. So I think they have a chance to be better. I'm optimistic, but they also still have a ton of holes. I mean, they moving Dexter Lawrence, you're going to pick up a draft pick, but they still, I like some of the stuff they did. They still have a lot of holes to fill. There's a honeymoon period for Harbaugh here.
Mm-hmm.
The key for him is just be competitive. Just give Giant fans a reason post-Halloween to see the team getting better. And can you stick around the wild card race? Like, and I'm just guessing here. If you get to week 14 and the Giants are, say, 7-7, or week 15 or 16 based on a bye, then your fans have hope. And if you missed a playoff, but you're like right there, okay. So, yeah. I think they're better.
You really think that they're the 4th best team in the division? Just,
No.
Just on paper. Just on paper.
Yeah,
Really?
Although I don't know if Washington's that much better than
Yeah, I don't think Washington's better.
Well, but I said that. I think on paper, Philadelphia still is better. And the Cowboys are better.
No, there's just, I mean, is Jalen Hurts? Yes, he's got Super Bowl and he's been in the league obviously much longer than Jackson Dart, but is Jalen Hurts that much better than Jackson Dart? The only thing is Jackson Dart needs to protect himself. He's going to drive me crazy.
Jalen Hurts is much better than Jackson Dart because the body of work for Jackson Dart is a handful of games. And part of that handful of games is not a single meaningful game.
Right.
He hasn't played a single, I mean, every snap for rookie is important, but he hasn't played in a game where you're still in the playoff hunt. And I think there's value to that.
Okay. By the way, this is going to be all NFL draft edition.
Uh-huh.
Kind of obvious. Fernando Mendoza, the presumed number 1 pick. We all know that. We've talked about a team jumping back into the back part of the first round for Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. Given the Dexter Lawrence trade, would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that the price of jumping back into the first round just went up? And now, because of that, teams will be maybe a little bit more reluctant to trade back into the first round for Ty Simpson.
Well, I think I agree with that. I think there's 1 or 2 stupid teams that would jump way up and pick him way before maybe their draft. And by the way, I'm going to answer your question, but also I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think any team has Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 prospect?
Prospect, no.
Right. So do you think anybody has Ty Simpson as their, say, 8th through 12th best player?
Yeah, I think I could see that.
Really? Okay. Because I think either A, you trade up at 12, 13, 14 just because you're otherwise, I think if you're sitting there without a first round pick and he's still there at 21, 22, then I think a few teams get interested in moving into the first round.
Well, I can see a team like Arizona who's got the number 3 pick. Maybe they get a deal. Maybe the Cowboys do end up giving them the 12th and the 20th pick. Then they've already traded back. They don't need to trade back into the first round.
Oh, I would do that. Yeah. Yeah.
So then at 20, the Arizona Cardinals could draft Ty Simpson.
I could see that.
So there could be
much as somebody like at 12 go, oh, I want to move up.
No.
It's like, wait a minute. You could probably get him if you waited till 18 or 19.
Yeah, I think Ty Simpson, if he goes in the first round, it will be honestly probably early 20s at the earliest. I'm just guessing, but I would say early 20s.
I might bet you later in the week.
Okay.
That I think stupid exists in the NFL. That's
we know that. We know that.
That somebody would do it to get him early.
Okay. Sticking with the Ty Simpson theme here, I just mentioned the Arizona Cardinals now seem to have a quarterback controversy on their hands as Kyler Murray is now gone and Jacoby Brissett is skipping out on the start of the team's offseason program as he is looking for a new deal.
He's also old and doesn't want to partake, but go ahead.
Arizona has Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew as their top 2 quarterbacks on the depth chart under new head coach Mike LaFleur. The Cardinals currently hold the number 3 pick overall. So, again, I just mentioned it. Would I be on the mark or off the mark? That they will be the team that actually trades back in order to draft Ty Simpson. So, I think Arizona is going to draft Ty Simpson.
I guess I could see it. So, I'll agree with you. But I asked you yesterday, would the Cardinals surprise people?
I can't see them taking Jeremiah Love.
But could you do this if you're Arizona? If Tennessee wants Jeremiah Love so bad, what are you giving me? I mean, that's the luxury of sitting in front.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll take him. Do you really want him? What are you giving us?
But if you're Tennessee, your running backs weren't bad. Tony Pollard, solid season.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a wide receiver. You can get the top receiver in the class to, help with Cam Ward. You can draft maybe Jadarian Price will be there later for you.
By the way, under that scenario, then the Giants would be sitting there at 5.
Yeah.
Ooh, that gets interesting.
If Jeremiah Love is there at 5 for the Giants,
I don't think they would do it.
Would they go like a Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles?
I think they would take a defensive player and then look to get a wide receiver back at 10.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, the only other team I could see trading up for Ty Simpson is Pittsburgh.
A lot of people like the Rams and Ty Simpson.
But if you're the Rams, why would you give up draft capital either later in the draft or for next year's draft to draft the guy you're going to sit for 2-3 years? Why not just wait and take someone in the second, third round whenever you think you're ready?
You love them,
I guess.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't make sense.
It is, but just saying that for a second, it is always interesting the team that has the veteran quarterback that still has years left.
Mm-hmm.
About when do we take somebody that we think can be our next quarterback, and usually the 4th, 5th, or 6th round pick never ends up sticking. And there's the point of, well, I mean, we don't need a quarterback this season. We need him maybe in a year or two. Do we want to waste a pick here? Which is why some people think, hey, it's Sean McVay, let him go grab a quarterback that he wants now.
Okay, let me go back to the Chiefs when they drafted Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Was that Chiefs team with Alex Smith a Super Bowl contending team?
No.
Are the Rams a Super Bowl contending team?
Yes.
So why would you not, fill whatever holes you need now, make one more run or attempt to make one more run at a Super Bowl and then worry about the quarterback?
The only counter I can give is that they believe we don't want to be without somebody and we really like this play. Look, they'd have to really believe he's better than what we would get next season. And if they do, then you draft the guy. But
okay. To me, the Rams don't make sense trade-wise for Ty Simpson. It's well known that the Dolphins' cap space is basically non-existent, and they're expected to be very bad this year. They do hold 2 first-round picks, 11 and 30, and 7 of the first 94 picks while holding 11 draft picks overall. While they could stand pat and acquire a lot of talent in hopes that they improve the team for this upcoming season, would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that they will actually trade a majority, that being at least 4 of 7, trading a majority of their top 94 picks in order to acquire more draft capital for next year's draft, as they will look to also take a quarterback early on next year?
4 is a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
About 4, I could see a couple. I don't know about 4. I mean, you need players.
You need players, but again, they don't have cap space.
Yeah, I don't know about we agree. I don't think the Dolphins are going to use all 7 picks. But I don't know if you're giving up 4. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but at the same time, you're looking to next year's draft regardless.
I understand, but that's still a lot of draft capital to give up. And I don't know what I'd be getting back.
I think it makes, again,
because what doesn't happen is you don't give up 2 threes to get someone's potentially high second. That doesn't usually happen.
I'm not saying that, but maybe again, there's a team desperate. Maybe Ty Simpson's sitting there at 30. There's a needy team who jumps up. Just my thought.
A lot of picks, but okay.
There's only 16 draft prospects attending the draft this year, including 5 from Ohio State. The full list of draft attendees is Caleb Williams, Arvell Reese, Caden McDonald, Sonny Styles, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Ty Simpson, Caden Proctor, Francis Mauga, Miami O-lineman. I get that?
Mauga. Yeah.
Mauga. Jeremiah Love. Man, now I'm like your boy Chris Russo.
No, you're not. You're okay.
Jeremiah Love, Mekhi Lemon, Colton Hood, Keldrick Falk, Mansour Delane, Reuben Bain Jr., and David Bailey. Not even Fernando Mendoza is attending the draft. I've asked you this before in passing, but I'll ask you again here if I'm on the mark or off the mark for believing that the draft not being held at Radio City Music Hall has lost its luster, and because of that, more and more players would rather be at home to celebrate getting drafted with their friends and family.
Well, I disagree. I don't think it's Radio City Music Hall. I think
New York, big stage, the bright lights.
But first round draft pick walks out now in front of like 400,000 people.
And yet there's only 16 people attending the draft.
Oh, I wish the NFL could do something to make more players, but they don't want that awkward green room moment. I mean, the Mendoza thing, I get the family thing, but I think the other part is, dude, you're going to be a first round pick. And
not only are you going to be a first round pick, you're the number one pick.
I mean, that's what I meant. And you need to be there. But I don't think it's because it's not in New York anymore. I just think some of these guys don't want to be sitting there for several hours, and they're afraid of that. And agents don't want that.
Should that be an obligation? If it's, and I know it would be hard.
But what do you do with the borderline first round guy that sits there and then he's got to come back the next day because he's projected?
No. I'm talking about the number one pick.
I would agree with that. Because even if you have a draft where there's no clear-cut number one, the 3 or 4 guys are going to be drafted in the first 10 picks. So there's no one sitting there going, hey, he's still here on the second day. Yeah, I don't know how you do that, but I wish the player was there.
I think the NFL has got to step in.
And I've said this before. I get the family part. He'll never get the feeling of coming out, walking across the stage as the number 1 overall pick, shaking the hands of the commissioner, and experiencing that moment.
Yeah, I think that's a huge misstep on Fernando Mendoza's part. Speaking of Fernando Mendoza, him and Jeremiah Love are going to be first-round picks, with Ty Simpson and Jadarian Price as potential first-round picks. I don't think it's crazy to think that we will see more trades throughout day one than the total number of quarterbacks and running backs combined drafted in the first round, even with the possibility of Simpson and Price going in round 1. But would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that we will see more trades within the first 10 picks than total number of quarterbacks and running backs drafted in the first round?
More trades in the first 10 picks. Are you
Yep.
counting the Giant deal as one?
No. Starting from Thursday night, will we see more than we'll say 4 or 5 trades in the first 10 picks?
Involving the first 10 picks?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I'll disagree about 4. I think 2's a good number. I mean, it's got to be 9. The Giants could trade, but 9. I think 2. I don't know about 4. A lot.
I think a lot of teams want to trade down. I think Arizona wants to trade down. I think Kansas City could be a team that maybe they trade down. Cleveland could trade down.
Yeah. 4's a lot, though, but I think at least 2.
Yeah, I guess 4 would be a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe I think 3. I think we'll see at least 3 trades. Aaron Rodgers. We don't know whether he's going to be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. Obviously, Mike McCarthy is the new head coach. They played together in Green Bay. I saw something from Mike Florio reporting that there could be an announcement made on draft night about the future of Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is kind of hamstringing the Steelers right now by not making a decision. So would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that if the Steelers like a draft prospect, if they like a Ty Simpson, if they, there's someone else, they need to pull the trigger early and not count on Aaron Rodgers returning next season?
Yes. Let me bounce pass back. Do you think Pittsburgh knows what he's doing?
You know what? I actually don't.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure because it's like, well, what if he announced it during the draft in Pittsburgh? I don't know if it would get universal applause.
I mean, based off last year, how would it? Unless you're that excited about the addition of Michael Pittman. I mean, I don't see any reason why a Pittsburgh fan looks at this offense with Aaron Rodgers and says, that's it, we're ready.
Right, and they have to decide because it's like, Aaron, yay or nay, I don't know yet. And you have to make that decision if you're the Steelers.
Yeah. I think Aaron Rodgers might need to call it a career. I don't think there's going to be a team that, if he says no to Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh doesn't want him back, is there going to be a team that wants to put up with him?
I don't know. We said that last year and he ended up in Pittsburgh. I mean,
True.
I thought that last year.
But on the mark, off the mark.
time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Billy Donovan steps down in Chicago with the Bulls. A lot of people trying to connect dots because Kevin O'Connor said if Steve Kerr does leave the Warriors, that Todd Golden will be the number one choice.
All that.
All dots don't connect. If you're upset because the stream was down during On the Mark, Off the Mark, blame me.
Why?
The question is what was going on in studio, though. He couldn't run the video.
Oh, don't. Oh.
Can't give all the secrets away of the show. Miss any of today's program, go here, get your favorite podcast. Type of the Beat of Sports on demand. Download and listen when it's convenient for you. Catch the video, at least most of the show, on our YouTube page. We'll try again tomorrow. I can't promise the whole show will be streamed either then.
Wow.
It's produced.
What
I'm
is
Marc
that?
Daniels. See you tomorrow for the Beat of Sports.